Okay, so I've been worried about Naomi Osaka for a while now. I and it's been taking me a while to get collect my thoughts together, so that's why this is a bit late and past the what you call it, the time of interest for the internet, but I still wanted to talk about her and why I'm kind of worried about her. So, for those of you who know me kind of in my backgrounds of things, I've taught in Japan for 7 years, which means that I've been a part of Japanese culture for 7 years. Now, I'm not a expert in Japanese culture, and I'm not an expert in even American culture, but where I stand as kind of an in-betweener of cultures and things, that's where I'm coming at this. And also as like a teacher who has taught students of international origins. So yeah, I'm worried about her, and I'm worried about her future, and I'm just going to kind of talk about it. I thought about making this into like a really complicated and long video essay, but I'd rather just go ahead and kind of, I don't know, throw my worries out into the world and just kind of get into it a bit. I am worried about her for a variety of reasons, but the main reason is unfortunately having to do with racism and unfortunately having to do with Japanese culture. Now, Japanese racism culture is a little bit different from, say, an American racist culture or Canadian racist culture, really any other country that is Western's racist culture. 9 times out of 10, the Japanese racism is not a form of malevolent and, how do you say, like, just in your face racism. Usually, it's very unintentional, and usually it's not ill intended. It's usually just because people have not had a lot of experience with international affairs. They have not have a lot of experience of what racism even is. So they just kind of stumble into racism, if you will. There is one term, though, in particular that I find racist coming from an American culture, but in Japanese culture has become an accepted term, and that is the term hafu. It means you're half Japanese, half any other culture. And for me, I really don't like that term. The hafu term, though, is kind of dumb to me because I have taught students who have been a very varied mixture. They're not really half Japanese. They're actually like, I don't know, 1/4 French, 1/4 Spanish, and then there's like the Japanese, part of them that's their grandparents' part. So it's I have taught children who have had not half blood, but they get called that because that's the only term that Japan accepts for children of mixed blood. And it has still made me mad whenever I've had to like set other teachers straight about that. Like, this child is an international child. They are not half anything. And also, the term for me kind of implies that you might be only like half a perceived person to Japanese culture in some respects, and but anyway, but Naomi, a lot of the times in the Japanese media, they're calling her hafu. They're calling her like she is a half person, like, and then other newspapers are calling her full on Japanese, and both of these terms bother me because she is not that. She is Haitian Japanese and was raised in America, so she is an international child. She has many different parts of her background, and she is all of them. But that's not how she is being portrayed a lot, and also not how, at least in Japan, how she's being perceived. It's unintentional, and it's not really something that Japanese people even think about, or even Japanese media really thinks about, I think. But yeah, it's something where either they're denying half of her other part of her and just focusing on only the Japanese half part, or they're saying she's Japanese and just completely erasing the rest of her. And that's not fair to her, because she has said multiple times, I am all of these things. But that's been happening. And, some newspapers are better than others, and some, reports on the news are better than others, but still, it's a thing that's happening, and it makes me worried for her because it's kind of telling that probably it will just continue throughout her career, and she will have to keep battling at that and battling at that, and it just makes me worried for her. And then on top of that, because how do I say? Because she's considered Japanese, and because right now she's acting Japanese, which is an interesting take on it. But yeah, in the Japanese media, they're saying that she's acting Japanese. She's acting humble. She apologized for winning and all these things, and it's just making her more and more beloved by Japanese people, which is great for now. Yeah, she's got a lot of love and a lot of fans and people who are loving her, and I love her too. I think that she really deserved that win, and yeah, but all of the same reasons that Japanese people love her are all the same reasons I could see her being really hated in a near future through very few steps. For example, just the teen idol curse. That's what I call it. She's not a teen, but like the idea of idols in Japan have to be these pure, untouched things, and they have to act certain ways, and the standards for their behavior are super high, and they cannot do like literally anything normal people do. So that's where for Naomi I get worried about her, because right now she's acting very humble, she's acting very nice, she's acting very how a lot of Japanese people would say she's considered typical Japanese in that respect. All it takes is one small mistake, and then your career's done, and that's it. And nobody wants anything to do with you, and it's just the way it is here. And so it makes me worried for her, because right now there's a standard being set by Japanese people that she's acting Japanese in a certain respect that they how do you say, they expect of idols, and they expect of talent. Talents are people who are kind of famous just for being on TV and not really doing much, but they're still doing things like modeling and going on TV shows, but like they're not really, kind of like Kardashians. If you think about the Kardashians, that's what like a talent or talento is considered in Japan. But still, there are expectations of higher like behaviors for these kinds of things, and I worry about that for her. I worry that there's this, that these kinds of expectations like set her up to be put on this pedestal that's really not fair, considering she was not brought up in this culture, and she doesn't know those expectations, and she doesn't really understand what it all entails. Even Sho Sakurai, not even that long ago, he started dating a 21-year-old. American people immediately like, oh, okay, he's dating an adult. So what? And he's also like around my age. He's like 30-ish. There's an age gap, but she's an adult. She's like she's about to graduate from university, and he's dating her. Whatever. But for Japan, it was a scandal, because idols are not supposed to date. So, like, period. Like, not even like, just they're not supposed to date. And so like people were like, oh my god, he's dating. So yeah, there's a distinctly different culture around like what sports people can do and what idols can do. This is true. So Naomi does have a little bit more leeway in this respect, but she's a female, she's a woman, and that's another like complication to matters, and it's sad but true that because she's a woman and this is Japan, she's expected to act like she is acting currently, and then she's supposed to act like that forever. And I don't think that's fair. People are going to have bad days, and people are going to have mistakes that they make because they're human, and expecting them to act above human is too much. But that's what's kind of going to be expected of her, and it worries me that something could happen after this honeymoon period of the winning is over that will just make people just turn. And if when it happens, the thing that's really sad about this that I can see down the line is that they'll say that that's to do with her Haitian half, or that's to do with her American upbringing. And it's really, yeah, like I said, unintentionally racist, but I can already foresee whenever something happens, it may not even be something she can control. They'll blame it on the other parts of her for because that's how Japanese media and how sometimes Japanese people react. Maybe I'm wrong though. Maybe I don't know. Maybe she will change and she'll be allowed to change, and maybe that won't happen. But looking at past history of how mixed race individuals have been treated on various things, particularly Miss Japan controversy that didn't happen all that long ago, and how very, very racist the comments were for literally all of her things. I don't see Naomi getting that much more love in that respect. And then, okay, getting a little bit more personal. I have seen what happens with half children, international children, who don't play the part, who don't act Japanese, and who don't speak Japanese well enough to be accepted. In one particular story, one student I knew early on in my JET program days, she was bullied and harassed because she acted much more exuberant than an average, say, Japanese girl would, and she was more outspoken because that's how she was raised, is to be more outspoken. And one day I'm sitting at my desk and she comes over with a speech contest paper, and I'm reading it, and I wanted to cry. Like, I wanted to burst out into tears because her story was about how when she first came to school, nobody wanted to be her friend. And then one day in the bathroom, a girl was bullying her, and in the bathroom stall door, she tried to push her way out. The girl hit her with the door and broke her arm. And my student's arm was broken because she was a half student, and I'm about to cry. And she put in her story that when she went to the hospital, she wished that she could die at the time. The story gets better. So what ends up happening is the school and the teachers and everything, they all like band together. They talk with the students. They talked with her and the other student was in trouble. I don't remember what her punishment was in the story, but she did get punished for what happened. Nothing so severe as in America where she would have been expelled, but she was, I think, suspended. And but then 2 years down the line, oddly enough, she and this girl did become friends. But yeah, that story always stuck with me. That happened to her, and that has happened to other. Of course, it has happened to other international students in Japan. The point with this is that in order for that to happen, the teachers already knew there was bullying happening. They already knew that people were not taking her or accepting her, and that's what led to that. Like, it didn't happen suddenly. It grew up to that. With Naomi, I do worry about her because she is an international child. Not child, of course, she's an adult, but she is somebody of international origins who lives in Japan and who is having to go through the Japanese cultural acceptance steps. And unfortunately, the way that I'm seeing it right now, I'm not seeing it as she's actually being accepted for who she is. She's having her past erased. She's having people put her into she is Japanese because she's acting Japanese. And at some point, I don't think that she's going to be as accepted as she is now. And it makes me sad for her, and it makes me worried for her. I'm not saying that violence could occur to her. I don't know. I don't think that that's gonna. I doubt that could happen. But I do wonder about what's going on with her now, and what's going on with how she's being told to be accepted. And I really worry about her identity. And she seems like a very strong person. She does continue to, correct reporters and correct people about, no, I am Haitian and Japanese, and I was raised in America. She continually does that. But I worry about the erasure of her past. And I worry about how the abuse online right now is only marginal, but it could grow as time goes on. And how she'll react to that, and how others would react to that. And then the last particular part I want to talk about, and this may seem like a nonsense part, but a lot of Japanese people are very much enamored and charmed by her, as some newspaper, or some, like the English newspapers say, broken Japanese. Even though it's not really broken, it's just kind of basic, very low intermediate Japanese. Right now, a lot of people think it's really cute and adorable. But I've seen this before with students who come in, and they're international students, and at first it is adorable. At first it's cute. But very quickly, people get mad. And by people, I mean teachers and other students, when you're not picking it up quickly enough for them, and you're not able to speak fluently in a short amount of time, especially if you have a Japanese bloodline to go back to. For some reason, there's this idea that if you have Japanese blood, you must therefore be able to pick up Japanese quicker, and Japanese is more natural for you, even though it's a language and it's just a skill that you learn. So I've seen students get bullied for that. Not at first. At first, there is a kind of acceptance, like, oh, you're learning. But it doesn't take very long for people to get mad that you haven't studied it to the point that you've perfected it in only a few months. And that's it. So, and Japanese language, just like how a lot of Trump followers in America kind of tie English language in with American culture, the idea of course, that Japanese language and Japanese culture and Japanese identity are all combined together. That's here too. And so if you can't speak Japanese, then there's kind of this implication that you're not Japanese. So, yeah. So these are all the worries I have. They're long and complicated, and I have no answers for them. And like I said, they're worries. I don't know if they're going to happen or not, for sure. I'm just basing this off of, I've seen a lot of things happen with international students, and a lot of unintentionally racist things that have happened, are though in one particular instance, a very intentional and malevolent act. Yeah. So I'm very worried about her. And I feel like this conversation is not something going on right now. Many people on Twitter are grabbing at her and trying to make her choose, or trying to force her and pigeonhole her into their own cultures, because they like her so much. I think that they want her to be a part of their identity and cultural identity. So Japanese people are trying to make her fully Japanese, and American people are trying to be like, she's black and American, and then et cetera, et cetera. And Haitian people, of course, are very proud to have her from their side, and it's it worries me. It worries me a lot. But particularly if she's choosing to stay in Japan and to have her career in Japan in particular, I worry for her. And I might get a lot of hate for these worries, but it's stuff I've seen, and it's stuff that I know exists, and I don't know. I just worry. Maybe I worry for nothing, and maybe she'll be fine. She does seem like a very strong and independent woman, and I think that she'll be very good at being able to hold her own. But at the same time, expecting her to face all the ridicule that could come her way, and to expect her to face all of the hate that could come her way just for her being who she is, I don't think that would be entirely fair. I think that if you're a fan of hers, and I think that if you understand that she is all of these things, she's not one thing or the other, she is all of the things that she says she is, you have to accept her identity, and you have to accept that this road for her is not going to be easy too. It may seem like it right now that she's got the trophy and she's got the money and she's going to have all these corporate and sponsorship deals, but it probably won't be soon, and it probably will entail a lot of things that she's going to have to think about. It's unfortunate, but in Japan there is no dual citizenship. She's going to have to choose between having a Japanese passport and choosing her Japanese nationality, or the other. I don't remember if it's American, but I think it is the American passport. I think with America she has the dual passport citizenship, but with Japan she can't. That's something that I wish Japan would do. I wish Japan would allow for dual citizenship, because it's really dumb that it doesn't. But yeah, the government believes that you can't. The government believes you can't be two things, and so therefore the media thinks you also can't be two things in the culture. And yep. So just wanted to get all those out there. Now, some people are probably going to disagree with me, and there's always going to be people who are going to be like, there is no racism in Japan. Go back to your country. But that's just not true. There's racism in every country. There's always going to be prejudices in every country. Like I said, in Japan, generally it's not often talked about. It's not often thought about. It's just kind of something that exists, and then it's just kind of dropped as a subject to talk about. Anywho, that's all for today. This one's going to be long, I've just realized. This is going to be a really long video. If you survived to the end, good for you. And if you disagree with me, by all means, disagree with me. Tell me why I'm wrong, and tell me why you think that, tell me how dumb it is to worry about this stuff that I can't control, please. But this is the person I am. I worry about people. Anyway, that's all for today. Bye.